Hey guys, before we start this episode of Who Actually Is Esnyx Knives, I just wanted to let you know that this episode is also sponsored by Esnyx Knives. Esnyx Knives, your stop for top-notch, high-quality slip joints and locking folders. Check it definitely out, link in the description. And now, have fun listening to Who Actually Is Esnyx Knives. Moin moin and a dear welcome to another episode of Tim's Sprachnachrichten, or for you English-speaking people out there, Tim's voicemails. And today, I don't know how long it took us, right, to dial in this date, but we did it. And Evan, it's awesome to have you on.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So for everyone who didn't recognize Evan yet, Evan is the owner of Esnyx Knives. I hope I didn't butcher it.
Nope, that's
the name right.
That's correct.
Awesome. Because in Germany, the Y is in some words pronounced like a different letter. We have a U with dots over it, and that's like a U. And so sometimes it's Esnyx, you know?
Yeah.
It could be, but it's Esnyx, so yeah. Yeah, Evan, finally, like we talked about a minute ago, I'm so excited to have you here because I feel like when I scroll through Instagram and see a post of yours or a knife of yours, it's always standing out, right? For me, at least.
Thank you.
Because it's like you get the vibe of the traditional slip joint patterns, right? But it's like with this modern twist on it, and that's the stuff I love about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. When I first started, I was making a lot of traditional patterns, and right around summer of 2019, I took ended up being a 2-year break from making knives.
Okay.
And when I came back, when I got back into it, I kind of decided, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing and let's see how it goes. So I started designing my own patterns, and I had previously made a few of my original designs, but I wanted to do everything moving forward, my original designs.
Yeah.
And that the market received it really well. People loved them, and I've kept it up since then. So pretty much everything I do is my original design.
That's
except
so awesome,
for when it comes to some of the exhibition knives that I do. So I'll replicate old complex multi-bladed exhibition knives mainly from Sheffield, England.
Oh yeah, that's those. I don't know. I think it was last year's Blade Show in Atlanta, where you was it Atlanta? I can't remember exactly right now. But it was also a multi-bladed slip joint. But you shared big parts of the progress of manufacturing it on Instagram, and every single time you posted, I fell more and more in love with it, because sometimes I take it a bit heavy having more than one knife on a knife, but on the other hand, there are SRKs, right? So that's when a full-size slip joint, like the ones you produce or manufacture, is like more the fitting term, right? So that those are the ones that really get to me, if you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. They speak to you, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like voices coming out of them.
Yeah, the slip joints really speak to me as well, and that's what got me into all of this. I've branched out some since then, but that's really what I love the most.
Yeah. So let's start right at the beginning, right?
Mhm.
Let's get into the whole Esnyx story. Um, did EDC always play a role in your life?
No, it didn't. Um, I got into knives. Let me think. So I started Esnyx I started making customs at the end of um, 2014 ish,
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
like 2015, around there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and before that, I was modifying knives for a couple of years. So I was
Okay.
buying production slip joints and modifying them, changing the handles on them, and so forth. But before that, uh, the only knives I ever had were just a couple of knives I used for fishing, so like spider
Mm-hmm.
coes and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
they never really spoke to me much. Then a friend
Okay.
of mine introduced me to a Great Eastern cutlery knife. He brought over a 15 pattern, which is like a boy's knife, a 3.5 inch boy's knife,
Mm-hmm.
and I immediately fell in love. Uh, Started going down the rabbit hole of finding some older knives and starting, figuring out a knife collection. Right, very beginnings. I don't know what I'm looking at, where I'm going with it. But one of the first knives I ever bought was a Barlow, and when I got it, it had these hollow plastic handles on it with a hollow bolster. And I was like, I don't like this at all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and at the time, I was getting into woodworking as a hobby.
Okay.
So I was like, you know
Awesome.
what? It'd be a fun project to take it apart and put new handles on it. And I've got the tools to do it. So I gave it a try, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just started becoming active on Blade forums and posted pictures of it, and people really liked it. So I was like, you know what? Let me try it again, and maybe I could sell it.
Oh yeah, that's
So
awesome. Yeah.
I bought a couple case knives and did it, and they sold, and I got a great reception for it. Uh, just a few knives into modifications, I started buying Great Eastern cutlery knives, and didn't look back from there. I thought, those are the best, and I'm going to stick to those. Change the handles out, and that
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
built up until I was, soldering my own bolsters on, cutting shields, mill relieving the liners, and my handles got, they were clean. And I
Mm.
figured, I'm doing everything but making the blade and the spring. So I decided
Okay.
to go down that route and having the experience of putting them together, even though I hadn't made all of the parts yet, gave me a good base to build off of. So that
Mm.
helped. And then also kind of having a customer base from my modified knives helped me get off the ground there. And yeah, kind of took it from there and have been progressing since then.
That's so awesome because usually um, people get into knife making by, oh, I want to build a knife, and they build a knife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got into it from the modifying side of our knife community, right? And
Yes.
that's, I think, for me until now, that's a pretty rare thing to happen.
Yeah. Um, there aren't many guys, especially when we're talking about slip joints, that do modifications. Uh, I can think of like maybe a couple guys
Mm.
that do it today. I know Slip Joint Spa does them. He's on Instagram, and he does a good job. But another thing is when guys usually get into custom work, it's let me make a knife, and they go and they make a fixed blade. They don't go and start with one of the hardest knives to make, right? But
Yeah.
I had no idea, so I didn't know that it was one of the harder knives to make out
Oh
there,
yeah,
and
slip joint can be challenging. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
Yep.
because it's
So
so
my
funny, right?
ignorance kind of helped me with
Yeah,
that,
it's
you know.
from when you look at the slip joint, it's like a yeah, quote unquote simple construction, right? Because it's
Yeah.
just a spring holding the knife open but not locking it. So
Yep.
you just need a bit of tension and then it's good to go. But this little bit of tension and figuring out when to stop the blade and all that stuff really takes some figuring out and some time to get into it, right?
Yeah. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
Uh, Having a good understanding of the geometry of the blade tang, how the blade is going to sit in all three positions if you have a half stop, and then tolerances have to be extremely close for it to work well and be nice and tight. You know, eliminate any blade play,
Yeah.
smoothing out the action, and then it goes further and further. How you know to get the aesthetics right that you want. Uh, the geometry in the tang can affect that as well, and positioning of the
Definitely. Yeah.
pins, but that gets more into the design work aspect,
Mm.
which also I think was a helpful thing for me when I started, because a lot of guys will copy an old pattern, so they've got their geometry kind of set for them based off of that, and they can make fine adjustments from there. But I started by drawing them out on a computer program. It's called SketchUp. I don't
Hmm.
use it anymore, but I used it up until uh, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I think.
Oh wow. Okay.
Before I learned how to use Fusion 360,
Oh yeah,
so I'm
it's a
using
great
that
program.
now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a great program,
Yeah.
and I'm glad because it can apply to so many other things. Like I have a nice 3D printer now, and
Oh, awesome.
I
Yeah.
can kind of prototype parts out that way.
Can't you in Fusion 360? Can't you even calculate the force of the spring and all that stuff?
The drop of the spring, you mean, like the bend in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's I'm not an expert in the program by any means, but
Yeah.
I do, because I know where it's going to bend, right? Just from
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
so I can kind of build that in there and keep it precise,
Oh yeah.
based off of like a radius and a rotation point. So it is helpful.
Or maybe I'm mixing up programs that could also be very very be the one that I'm messing up right now. But
It could. I don't know how to do it.
I
Right.
don't
So I
know
kind of
which
do it my.
program it was. I think it was Fusion 360. I'm a carpenter, right? So
Mhm.
when we are building, or when I was building like doors and all this stuff, or um, floor doors, I don't know, trap doors, quote unquote, right?
Yep.
They have to hold a certain weight and a certain force, right? If someone walks over it.
Mhm.
And I think it was Fusion 360 where you could calculate it. But for hell, I don't know. I can't remember, right? So
Yeah.
in the programs I used at school, they couldn't do it. Calculating force and pressure on certain objects. If you're building, I don't know, like like a shelf, a bookshelf, and you put heavy books in it. If the um, if the board carrying the books can hold all the force the books are building up on it, and all the stuff, how long they can go,
Mhm.
and you're right. So I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, so much to that.
Yeah. There's
um,
there's the program can do so much
oh yeah,
more
oh yeah.
than what I
Mm,
know to do. I can draw my profiles, extrude them to the thickness I like,
mm.
and I've learned a couple other little things here and there. Um,
Yeah,
Especially
so
while I like to, I'll 3D print little trays and
yeah.
little fixtures and stuff for my shop as well. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. But I think it is, then I can export a DXF file for if I want to get parts water jet cut, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's a lot more convenient than the program I was using before, especially when working with other people.
These 3D sculpting programs really, I don't know since when, like it feels like the past 5 years ish, really got so many updates. They are so such great programs now. You can do
They
really
really
anything
are.
with it. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
But let's get back to knife making.
All right.
Would you consider the time where you modified the case knives or GEC knives, right?
Mhm.
Um, would you consider that also the starting point of Esnyx or the point where you started manufacturing your own knives?
Um, I don't remember exactly when I made my first custom, uh, but I came up with the Esnyx name when I joined Blade Forums. So that was kind of the beginning of uh, my modifying knives. But I
Hmm.
believe I started my customs in late 2014. That's right around when I put together my LLC. So
Oh yeah, okay.
I moved into my house in fall of 2012, and I think I was modifying knives within a year. So probably 6 or 8 months after that. So let's say spring, early summer of 2013. And I was doing modifications for about 2 years, so it overlapped with my custom work.
Hmm. So there isn't like it's a smooth transition, right? Somehow
Yeah,
from
it was.
modifying to it's like from step to step to step, right?
Mhm.
That's that's so interesting. I really enjoy your story that back then. So because for me it's like I'm just a customer, right? I'm not a
Mhm.
knife maker or knife producer or whatever. Um, so for me it's like I only see the finished product, but especially behind customs, there's so much work. Like, and then back then 2014, I mean that's like 12 years now, right?
Yeah,
Around 12 years ish, right? Yeah, just at the start of 2026, but yeah, let's say 12 years. So um and that's so much self education somehow, right?
yeah,
Just learning from doing it and all the ins and outs. It's, I mean, I'm a craftsman, so I know that's some parts in creating and manufacturing just go without thinking about it right now, right?
mhm.
Yeah. And I really enjoy listening to people how they got from the start to where they are now because I can relate to the knowledge they gathered up all these years, right? So
Yeah.
it's just amazing, yeah. So, what was the first model with the Esnyx branding on it?
So the first few customs I made were orders that I took from a few members off of Blade Forums. And I believe the first knife I ever made was a tiny it was like a 3-inch sodbuster. Uh, and but at the same time, I made it was a Eureka Jack with a spay blade. I also made a dogleg jack with a sheep's foot blade, and let me think. I think those may have been the first three. But I had about 8 orders from customers from modified knives,
Mhm.
and then yeah, it kind of started building from there, taking on custom orders, and then I kind of established a couple patterns that I would repeatedly make a like a boy's knife pattern, so a 3.5-inch sleeve board jack, mainly with a spear blade and some teardrops and things like that. Classic, popular patterns, but constantly developing new patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first, let's say, 100 knives that I made, uh, I probably had designed 40 different patterns
Oh wow.
because a lot of them are one-offs. In there also, I did a project with JBF Champlin, and that was for a Barlow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't consider them custom knives because it was kind of multiples of the same thing, and I outsourced a couple of processes. So I outsourced water jet, and I outsourced. So I had all my parts cut, and I outsourced heat treatment. So I didn't
Okay.
quite consider them full customs, and so I did 25 knives for JBF Champlin, and then I also had an extra 25 parts that I'd made for myself that I did, I think 3 handle variations on
Mm-hmm.
those. Uh, so that was the most amount of a single pattern I've ever made. And yeah, so I'd developed a ton of different patterns, learned more and more, refined my design skills further and further as I went, to the point where I felt really comfortable designing, coming up with a new design, knowing it's going to work, and then building it.
And then also sticking to it, right? Because
Yeah.
you are featuring many different designs, right?
Yeah. So I've got, for my original designs, I think I have over 15
Holy moly,
that
15 different
I'll
designs.
repeat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now I've gotten into the modern folders as well.
Yeah. Are there Do you count the modern folders already into the 15?
Yes.
Okay. But
But I've
that's
got,
15 different models. That's insane, right?
yeah. And those are ones that I currently have in rotation. So I've done
Mm.
previous versions, like I've updated patterns with new features. For example, most of my patterns now have a stop pin, and it's allowed me to eliminate the exposed part of the blade tang. So normally,
Yeah.
where there's a kick on a slip joint where it drops and contacts the back spring to stop it from
Yeah.
hitting the back spring with the edge, that isn't necessary anymore because there's a stop pin. So, and that's also where people will put their maker's mark. Uh, so, and the one tool that got me to kind of come up with that was my laser. It allowed me to put my mark on the spine of my blade. So I was able to
That's
get about
yeah,
an
that's sick.
extra quarter inch of edge on the same exact blade profile, just shifting it back, and it really balances out the knives differently. It also
Yeah.
let me make the blades taller, I guess, because I don't have to worry about clearance for blade wrap anymore. And blade wrap is when the blade over travels when it's closing and hits the back spring with the edge. So
Mm.
that's something you've got to take into consideration when designing a slip joint, that there will be over travel. But a stop pin pretty much makes it a dead stop where it lands on the pin. There is a tiny bit of over travel, but nothing like with a kick. So that let me
Yeah.
adjust my designs. The first one I did that on was my Stingray pattern, which is kind of like a boy's knife, modernized a bit. And I liked it so much, I pulled it into the majority of my other patterns. The only one I didn't do it on is my Barracuda pattern, which is like a long, slender knife. And I've tried to adjust the design, but I just don't like it as much as the original. So I've kept that one
Mm.
the way it is.
Oh, the snook.
No, the Barracuda. That's the slim long one.
Yeah, no, the steak knife one, right? So to
Yeah.
say, quote unquote, yeah. Uh, um, but the snook also has your logo on the
On the
on the.
spine. Yep. And that's the
Oh.
version 2 of the snook has
Ah,
that.
yeah, okay. I see. Yeah, I see. Okay, because in Germany, the ledge which hits like the back spring, the spring of the slip joint. We
Mm-hmm.
have in Germany we have a name for it. We call it Klauskante, Klaus ledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where the origins are exactly, but if I remember correctly, there was a guy called Klaus who always said he doesn't like it, right? It's so
Mm.
bad. It's bad designing and all that stuff. And since then, it's called Klaus Ledge, you know?
Okay.
So we call it like that, but I don't know if I think it's like only in Germany thing.
Mm.
But every time we talk about this little ledge looking out of the knife when it's closed, right?
Mm.
Nobody, if you try to explain it, nobody knows. But when you say, yeah, it's the Klaus ledge, everybody knows, oh, yeah, exactly that part of the knife. It's like,
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. I've never heard that before.
yeah, but it's just some fun stuff happening, right? So, um, so if I look at the Stingray, I feel like in every pattern of yours, you can find some origins in traditional patterns, right?
Yes.
So, like for example, the Beerbuster has
Mm-hmm.
its origin in the Swordbuster, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I feel like the steeper belly in the Beerbuster makes it much more exciting.
Yes. So that's kind of evolved over time as well. So the Beerbuster I'm making now is the third version.
Okay.
The original one, excuse me, the original had more of a traditional drop point blade shape, like the Sodbuster. So more gradual belly as it's going along. And when I designed the Beerbuster Junior, I had adjusted that some to have that more of an aggressive uh, angles to it with that tighter radius on the belly, and I really liked that. Uh, and then
So
when I redesigned the Beerbuster, I designed the Workhorse at the same time. They're very similar patterns. This one has the bottle opener and one doesn't.
yeah.
Uh, I implemented that shape, and I really like it. Some people have called it like a tanto. I call it more of an aggressive drop point, but it's
Yeah, I can go with that. Yeah.
a very useful blade profile.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a tanto because it just isn't, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have
Yeah,
that
exactly.
angle there.
Yeah. It doesn't have like the secondary point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, aggressive drop point really fits. I feel like um it's those details that make your knife so interesting, right? Because that's something no one else did ever come up with, steepening the belly or the
Mm-hmm.
radius on the drop point, right? So that's something that got me really hooked. At first I was like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, what did he even think? And then you take a second look at it, and then it's like, oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah. And that little belly there is like a Skinner, man. It's such a good little spot
Yeah,
for uh slicing something, It's great.
for
I
draw
really
cuts and
enjoy
all that
it.
stuff, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's kind of I've kind of translated that over into other patterns as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of part of the aesthetic of some of my designs that I've pulled that over from. And you can see that in like my tarpon, and also the Naso, which is one of my first modern folder design.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what I pulled the inspiration for that was a pattern that I just started making recently, and this one is the only traditional pattern that I have in my lineup, but nobody else is making it. I want to say about 8 years ago, my friend Charlie Campagna, who did the the special factory order with Great Eastern Cutlery for the TC Barlow, very popular knife. I love those, and Charlie and I have become friends over the years because of my love for the Great Eastern Cutleries. I've actually I focused my production knife collection to TC Barlows, and I collected a ton of them, and through that we became friends. And 1 year at the Great Eastern Cutlery Rendezvous, he had brought a poster with Russell Barlows, and at the very bottom there was this really unique little curved Barlow. I didn't even know they'd made curved Barlows up until I saw that, and he asked me to make one for him, and it took it took 7 years, but I eventually made him a batch of them. But if you look at the kind of peculiar blade profile on that one, you can kind of see where I got that inspiration from. It kind of pushes the radius of the belly out further towards the tip and then rounds up. So I just modernized that a bit, and then over time that kind of adjusted to the point where it's at now, and it gives it an aggressive modern look, but it's very, very useful.
Yeah, I really. It's. I'm pretty much out of words right now because I'm just scrolling through your Instagram page, and I'm always looking at the stuff you make. It always blows me away. But yeah, especially whilst listening to you explaining the stuff you make. That's
Well,
I feel
you.
like always that's the stuff why I'm doing this, right?
Mhm.
Why I'm where I am, why I'm doing this whole podcast thing, because it's always fun to share stories, and then it's always like, of course I share the stories with a lot of people after while through releasing those podcast episodes, but that thing that makes it special for me, I'm the one who gets to listen to it first.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's always so much joy just listening to what you are saying right now, and then scrolling through your work, your pictures, and just relating to it, right? That's
Yeah, it gives you an insight behind it
definitely.
all.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. So let's get going. Where does your name Esnyx come from?
So it's a stylization of my name, Evan Stratton Nicolaitis. So
Okay.
ESNI. Well, originally, what it was from, ESNIC apostrophe S. So
Okay.
Esnyx, and then I stylized it some. I figured that's going to be a lot easier to fit on a blade tang than Evan Nicolaitis.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Easier for people to spell and remember, and come to find out, it's great for SEO, search engine optimization. You type that in,
Yeah.
you're going to find me.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
it's worked out great.
Yeah, 100%. As you mentioned it, that you just optimizing search engines with it,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I never spent a thought on it with my name, but I think Tim's Sprachnachrichten is something. If you type it in Google or whatever, you'll find it
Yeah.
because like no one is searching for someone's voicemails, right? So,
Yeah.
do you prefer to craft slip joints or folders? Locking folders for that one.
Slip joints. That's my passion, you know.
Yeah.
My favorite thing are the complex ones. They're, you know, that's a pat. Those are passion projects, and they're not big money makers, but I love the challenge. It's like a puzzle, you know, that I've got to build from scratch. A lot of the spring designs and everything I didn't have any reference for, so I was kind of figuring it out as I was going along and building off. You know, if you look at the progression, uh, I'm kind of building off of previous knowledge that I've gained from, you know, the last complex build I did. Uh, the one I think you were referring to before was the exhibition fishing knife. So a very large folder, about 7 inches closed,
Oh, wow.
and it had a locking main blade. Two, it had a blade and a saw or a descaler on the opposite side, and then on the spine it had a corkscrew, a nail file, and a leather punch.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's the one.
Yep. And then under the scales, I had a toothpick, tweezers, and a pair of scissors.
Holy moly, yeah.
With a bail as well.
Yeah.
So it was like previously I had done 3 layers. I'd done a leather punch. I'd done a corkscrew. I'd done, you know, I'd made a saw. I'd also figured out how to add the implements like the tweezer and the toothpick. And for that one, the additional challenges were uh, the locking main blade. So some people will say one of the harder knives to make is a lockback whittler. I hadn't made one of those until that knife, which was like a lockback whittler with a bunch of tools on the back as well, and then the extra implements. So those were the two new aspects that I introduced that I hadn't done before. And that was a lot of fun and a big challenge, but you know, it's a lot of knowledge gained off of that I can then add on to the next build that I do that's real complex.
And that's the most fun part, right?
Yeah.
Just the extension of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like another tool added
Exactly,
that I
yeah.
could use in the future.
Yeah, to your personal toolkit, right? Not to
Yep.
your toolbox or anything, but to your
Yeah.
personal,
Yeah.
let's say, mind toolbox, if you want to
Yes,
say so.
exactly.
Yeah. So, what's overall the most challenging part in creating your knives? Just
So
beside this very challenging project you just described, right?
mhm. I think that um well, to me personally now, I think what I challenge myself the most with are getting the fine details nailed. So
Mm-hmm.
the finishes, the action, I want it just right. And I'm very meticulous about it, and it slows me down, but I think it's reflected in the work. I tried, you know, I try to make it as well as I possibly can. Um, so that's probably what's most challenging to me. Just from because you're chasing scratches at that point, right? You want
Yeah,
your
exactly.
facets to be sharp, very crisp, but not sharp. So it's comfortable in hand. Uh, you want all of your lines going in the same direction. No, you want any deeper sanding marks uh, to get rid of them. You don't want any of that showing. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
the larger challenge for me in building knives. It's getting those fine details, the finishes super precise and clean, and um, making it all work together as a tool, because they are a
Yeah,
tool first and foremost, right?
I can
So I
relate.
want
Yeah.
them to function as a tool and function well, but also be aesthetically pleasing. So
Yeah.
making them beautiful.
Yeah. Um, Back when I was in my apprenticeship as a carpenter,
Hmm.
my grandpa is also a master carpenter, and I had to restore a little um how do you say it? A little ah wait a second, I just have to look it up real quick.
Oh, no worries.
A little chest, that's the one.
Okay.
A little chest, massive wooden chest back from the 1920s. So with massive metal nails and flathead screws in it. And I restored it, showed it to my grandpa, and he was like, "No, that's not good
Mhm.
because the the screws, the flathead screws." He told me back in my days we had to align the flathead screw with the grain of the wood.
Mm.
And that's a tiny detail no one notices, but it completes the look of it, right?
Yeah.
Because you pay attention to such little detail. And that's like always a thing I keep in my mind because those little details make your work stand out, right?
Yeah.
On
And
the other hand,
that's the challenge, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
To
On
be
the
able
other
to
hand,
recognize that and to get it right.
yeah, exactly. On the other hand, you are like just like okay, you have to keep your work in a certain time frame, right? You
Hmm.
can't make it so long that it's getting like way too expensive.
Yeah.
So I always try to combine two things with each other. The one like I just told you with the screws and all that stuff, paying attention to detail, and like 80% of the work take 20% of your time, and the last 20% of the work take 80% of your time. And that's
Exactly.
like the the spot you have to differentiate when to stop, right?
Yeah.
And that's like hard to hit, I feel like.
It is. It is hard to hit.
Yeah.
One thing my father say to me is perfection is the enemy of success.
Oh yeah, that's a good
So
one. Yeah.
if you spend too much time
Yeah.
trying to make something perfect, you're 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 basically losing money because you're not turning product over, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Um, but and that's where my challenge lays, because I'm my own biggest critic. I'm sure you can
Relate.
relate.
100%, yeah.
And I am a perfectionist when it comes to my work. So trying to do that and not spend twice as much time getting those little details down right is a challenge.
Mm.
But I do try to make my work as good as I possibly can. So it's just about my efficiency and how I set my process in order to achieve that. Because I want the next knife I make to be as good, or if not better, than the previous one.
Mm.
Uh, and I've got a standard for anything that leaves my shop, and that's
Yeah.
kind of always creeping up as I gain more knowledge and my skills improve.
Yeah.
That bar always raises. It's it can drive you nuts, but
Yeah.
happy with the results.
Would you say that that is also the most fun part for you in creating the products you create?
Yeah. So, getting the gratification of having the completed project. in hand. That is a lot of fun. But
Also,
I
the
mean, I think
whole,
the whole thing's fun, you know?
yeah, the whole self growth behind it, right?
Yeah.
Growing with every project, your knowledge is growing. The whole, the whole Esnyx Knives thing is growing, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
with
think one of my favorite things
okay,
is when I design a new knife
hmm
and when I complete that first one and
yeah,
it all comes together. So the vision I had in my head that I then put down on a drawing,
oh yeah,
um, seeing that and then seeing the response to it, if I get a positive response to it, so it's like, okay, I'm not just crazy here with this design that I came up with. People actually like it, so that's
yeah,
good. And there's been a couple designs where I'll show a few people, a few friends of mine, just to get an idea of what they think about it, um, to see if I'm onto something.
hmm
And there was one that I did design that everybody I showed it to was like, I don't know about that. It was my cobia design. It was kind of it was pretty different from anything else I'd made. It was, stretching, pushing my boundaries a little bit with it.
mm.
And that was the one where I was like, you know what? I think this is going to be really cool. I don't care what you guys say. I'm going to make it anyways.
Yeah.
And when I had it finished, they were like, whoa, we were totally wrong. This is awesome. So that was really gratifying. It
Yeah,
kind of
that's
helped,
awesome. Yeah,
helped me trust myself with my design work.
yeah, I can understand. Yeah. So, which pattern is your favorite one? Which pattern is
Um,
your favorite child?
I think the snook.
Okay.
That's the clip blade with the curved frame. It's it's got it's got a classicness to it with a modern feel as well.
hmm
Um, there's a million different clip point trappers out there, but this one's just different enough. The blade profile is different, and it works really well if I want to make it look really modern or if I want to make it look really classic. Uh, you know, Bolster, jig bone, or if I do a screw together construction and micarta or something, something like that with
Yeah.
titanium and whatnot. It just works really well, and I think my customers would probably agree that's probably my most popular pattern.
Oh,
I
okay.
really like that one.
Okay. I feel like looking at it on your homepage, right?
Hmm.
You have a snook listed in your gallery. Um, Looking at it, it feels like if you do a pin construction with more classic materials, it's like it got a really traditional classic vibe to it. If you do a modern construction with micarta, titanium, screwed, and all that stuff, it gets a really modern aesthetic to it, right? So
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
versatile in its appearance. It's Yeah, it's awesome. I like it. I can relate why you love it so much.
Mm. Actually, I should update my site. That's got all of my old designs on there. But yeah, that one is the first version. And if you look at the second version, I think that also um, is where the changes that I made to my designs with the stop pin and pushing the tang back, it translated the best because the profile of the blade, I was able to adjust it, make it a little bit taller,
Mm,
and everything just flowed really well. It was like this is what the design should have been from the beginning, and I love it. So if you look on Instagram, you'll see the second version of it that I've made. You're gonna have to scroll a little bit because I haven't made one in a little or posted one in a little bit. Um, but I think that's where it really shines. I really do need to update the site. That's just another thing, right?
Yeah, things fall over, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have your focus in the whole business, like we talked in the lobby before we hit record, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep your eye on so many things, being self-employed, entrepreneur, and all that stuff, right? You have
Yeah.
to keep your mind and eyes on so many different things. There are some things which will fall over or need more time to
Yeah.
get to a point where you're happy again, right?
Yeah. It's like, you have your priority list, and
Exactly, yeah.
things lower on the list don't get as much attention.
Yeah,
And I mean, one
definitely.
thing is pictures on my website. I think the whole thing needs to be redesigned, but I don't know. I mean, I'll have to lose sleep to do it.
Oh, yeah. So, what's your personal highlight in the history of Esnyx Knives?
uh, Probably winning Best in Show in Atlanta, the main Blade show in 2024, and that was with that fishing knife.
Oh, it
That
was
was
2024.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
that
damn.
was
I thought it was last year, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Last year's knife that I brought to the big knife, the challenging piece. It was a collaboration with Jonathan Franco, who is a master smith out of Brazil, and that was
Okay.
probably what I would consider my first art knife.
Okay.
It had his Damascus throughout, and it was a fixed blade with slip joint parts in the handle.
Oh,
So
wow.
it
That's
had a
crazy.
corkscrew and a leather punch, and it also had tweezers, toothpick, and scissors, everything out of Damascus.
Ooh.
It
Oh, yeah. I
had,
remember. Yeah.
yep, checkered pearl handles and color case hardened frame and shield. So it's kind of like everything came together
Yeah.
on it. All the
I
bells and
remember.
whistles, Not a
Yeah.
super complex build, but uh, a really unique build. And I
Exactly.
also took into consideration the different types of knives that Franco and I make. Him making fixed blades and myself making folders. So this was like a good merger of the two.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
thought it was a really
100%.
cool build, and that was inspired by an old Sheffield knife uh, that I'd never seen anybody else make it.
That's awesome. I totally messed up the dates on it, though.
That's all
I
right.
feel like since COVID, time is flying
I
so
know.
much faster. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but it feels like it.
yeah, it
Right.
does.
Yeah. So winning Best in Show back in 2024, right?
Yeah, that was a shock, because I was competing against guys like Michael Walker and um, Franco had entered his piece in there. My friend Ridian Gatrill from Canada, who's another amazing slip joint maker, entered, and Javier Vogt. He's I don't know if you're familiar with his work. Incredible work. I think he's won best folder in Atlanta 5 out of the last 6 times. And the one time
Wow.
he didn't was when I won it. But he's a great guy, and his work is absolutely stunning. So it was shocking. And also, man, I'm drawing a blank on the guy who made the sword. Oh, can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. But just in an incredible reproduction of an old sword out of Damascus with incredible metal work on the basket guard for the handle and all of that. So that was a really special um, moment for me and a shock. I couldn't believe it.
Man, when I'm always when I'm listening to someone talking about Blade Show and all those amazing builds you just talked about, right? I feel
Yeah.
like, damn, I really have to make it happen to get to Blade Show.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is an
It's like,
experience.
oh yeah, definitely. I really have to. I really have to. Every time, just like you are now talking about it, and I'm sitting here in my house in Germany, right? And I'm like, damn, I really need to make it happen.
I think anybody that's really into knives should
Yeah.
go to Blade Show at some point.
Yeah.
It's absolute madness, but everybody there has one big thing in common, right? And it's knives.
Yeah.
So it's
Whole,
like you're there with your people. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Big ass family meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could restart your journey as a knife maker, would you change anything?
Um, it's tough to say, right? Because
Mm,
the journey is what has brought me to where I am now. So I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if I would. Um, I think I could have made some things easier on myself, but the challenge kind of uh, you know, builds character and also builds a level of skill.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it, I think, part of my process along the way that has let me tackle these really complex builds that I make, uh, getting over certain hurdles that I've come across along the way. It's given me the confidence to try something crazy uh,
Mm,
that you know only a handful of people in the world will make something like that. Not that there aren't guys that are very capable of doing it that don't, but it's so much work that it's like, man, that's not worth it. I don't even want to do that. Uh,
I always feel like if someone asks someone that question, it's so rare that someone says, "Yes, I would have done X Y
mm,
different." It's always like, "Yeah, maybe I could have this done or this done better." But I always feel like at that point, it's like speaking with the experience you have now. So thinking back, would you
mm,
really have been capable or able to do it better or differently? So it's like it's a really tricky question. 100%, it is.
yeah. Um, and I think that part of it, right? So when I started, there really was not a lot of information out there for slip joints and how to build
Hmm.
them. There
Yeah.
were a couple books. One book that helped me a lot was Making Slip Joints and Lockbacks. And give me 1 second, I'll grab it and I'll tell you who wrote it. So Eugene Shadley and Terry Davis wrote the book, and there's tons of good information in there. That allowed me to build off of the knowledge I'd gained. But a lot of the stuff I didn't really have a reference to figure
Mm,
things out, and I really wasn't familiar with custom makers at all when I started. So thinking back now, I think I made my first custom knife in October of 2014 because my first blade show was Blade 2015.
hmm.
And they stuck me in the back corner. I didn't even really go around, and I didn't get a chance to go around and see and meet different custom makers and look at their work. Uh, so I didn't really know what kind of the standard was or what high level custom work was. And I didn't I didn't know any of those guys, so I didn't have anybody that I could call on the phone and ask, I'm running into this problem. What do I do to fix it?
Oh yeah.
Today, there's, with social media, it's easy access to makers. There's one Facebook group in particular with tons of information. It's called Making Slip Joints and Lockbacks. It's on Facebook. So it really helps new makers get off the ground. And with slip joints, you see a lot of newer makers popping up over the last few years, and I think that's part of it. And like guys like Chris Crawford has put together videos with different makers that kind of walk through the process. He did one with Luke Swenson and one with Bill Rupel. So there's a lot more information out there. But in late 2015, I had the chance to go visit Tony Bowes.
Oh wow, that's
My
awesome.
in-laws had moved to Carmel, Indiana, and Tony's shop was about, I think, 2.5 hours away. So I was like, guys, I love hanging out, but I've got to go meet Tony Bowes. you know? So I drove down there. I'd called him before, and Charlie Campagna, who I mentioned before, he got us connected. So I went down there, and that was my first time actually handling really high quality work. We spent about, I watched him work in the shop for about half the day, and the other half of the day we just were hanging out, talking, getting to know each other some. But seeing that kind of gave me the idea, like, oh, okay, I've got a long way to go, but I've got an idea now of what high level work looks like. It's like, let me apply that to mine and take, tips that I learned from Tony and apply it to my work, and built from there. But I think not being really familiar with other people's work, or um, being like learning from start to finish how to make a knife under somebody else's tutelage helped me not stay in a box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, with a lot of traditional makers, there's certain rules that they'll hold themselves to, and I did this for a while as well. It's like you need to make it traditional, a traditional pattern with traditional materials, um, but not having, being flexible with that myself, let me start messing around with different designs and modernizing things and using more modern materials and synthetics and stuff like that, not really holding myself to that. And kind of doing my own thing. And if I were to restart, I don't know if that would have happened the way it did, because I did start new designs early on. I think the my first Beerbuster was like my 12th knife or something like that.
Oh.
So that kind of, I was kind of open to it
Mm.
because I didn't know. You know what I mean? I didn't have somebody tell me you're not doing it right. But who's to tell you? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure. Yeah, exactly. So don't restart, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy with how it turned out. I've had, my ups and downs, the bumps in the road, but it's
like
all
everybody
worked
else.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any plans for future projects you might want to share?
Uh, I've got more plans for future projects that I know what to do with. I've got several designs I haven't made yet that I've been wanting to, but
Oh, okay.
one I'm really, really excited about that I'm making for Blade, Texas. is a dual action automatic. So
Oh wow.
it'll function like a regular lockback, but when you press on the shield, it's an automatic blade. I'm very excited about that, and it's the design is inspired by a Sheffield dirk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 5-inch knife, kind of slender and long. It's going to have a dagger blade with a dagger grind, um, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to roll that into my main exhibition knife for Atlanta. So I'm building off of that for the main uh, kind of art knife that I'm making for that show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very very excited about it.
Oh yeah. I'm as well because it feels like every year you're putting yourself up to a task, right? This
Mm-hmm.
year feels like it's like figuring out how to um, get your perfectionist's standards into a dual action automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see you share your, I don't know, maybe your journey with the whole project on Instagram. I hope you
Yeah.
do.
Yep. I will be sharing that along the way.
Oh, that's so awesome. The thing is, I feel like automatics really, I really got something with automatics, right? It's like
Mm.
always like, oh yeah, it's fast, it's snappy, it's like just an awesome, awesome style of knife.
Yeah. They're a
But
lot of fun.
yeah, but since November, yeah, November 2024, automatic knives are like prohibited here in Germany. Also OTS, right?
Yeah.
OTFs like
Out the front
since I don't know
automatics. Yep.
forever. Yeah, OTFs like since I don't know forever. It feels like for me since I'm in the knife world, they are illegal here in Germany. OTFs, right? And since November 2024, out the sites are also illegal to own. But if you need it for work or something, like if you're a first responder, automatic knives come in very handy, right? Because they are there when you need them, right?
Mm.
But for everybody else, illegal to own, illegal to sell, to buy, whatsoever, right? So it's like this. I'm like a tiny tad too late to get into automatics, and that's like something that really, yeah, that I don't know. I hate it,
Yeah.
but it's like it's always fun to, and I really enjoy awesome automatic knives. On the
Yeah.
other side, I'm like, but you're never gonna own one.
I don't know, that stinks. There are some states that you're not allowed to carry them, but you're allowed to own them.
Mm.
Um, so there are some rules, states that have stricter knife laws. But I know there are people working on getting that changed. So hopefully
Oh yeah,
we'll see.
oh yeah. I hope so,
Yeah, but
right?
it's
Because
it's like a new challenge for me that haven't done
oh
yet.
yeah,
Something I've
I'm
wanted
really
to do for a
excited.
very long time.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see um, how you are going with it. What what the result will be like,
Mm.
right? It's always like I said so many times during this recording, it's like always scrolling through your Instagram page and everything just really gets to me. I enjoy your design language, and so I'm really excited and full of joy to see the progress behind your first dual action automatic.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
There were some. It's gonna definitely be challenging. I've made it harder for myself than I need to, as I tend to do. But it's the it shows in the final product.
Yeah.
Uh, So it always ends up being worth it, you know?
Definitely.
I'm like, man, I really didn't need to make it this hard on myself with these extra little things. But I'm always happy with it.
So to close out the recording, the last one is always the same. Esnyx Knives in 3 words.
Let's see. Oh, man. Precision functional art.
Precision functional art. Yeah. Yeah, I can
I
swing
think
with that.
I think that'll capture it.
100% definitely does. Awesome. As Evan, it was so much fun talking to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
I mean, we are like 1 hour 10 minutes into the recording, and it feels like we just started, right?
It does.
So
it flew
that's
by.
always an indicator for me that the recording was great, and I really enjoyed that you took your time and we finally got together, did this, and thank you, really, I thank you so much for taking your time being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Always. And I would love to see and talk again after the whole Blade Show stuff and share your experience with the dual action automatic. I would really love to hear what you have to say about it. And until now, I wish you so much health, luck, and all the stuff you need to get the stuff you want to get it done.
Thank you. And to you as well.
Thank you so much. And for everyone else who's listening, don't get your head hanging too low for too long. And have a good day, have a good night. See ya. Bye-bye.